Hello, fellow classmates. My name is Randy Pace, and today I'm going to be talking about Building 323, which is a new church plant located in Johnston County, North Carolina. Here's the agenda that I'm going to cover today. First, we'll discuss who we are. Next, we'll talk about our target demographics, the philosophy of the church, and finally, how we're going to reach them. Attached to this, you should also see our Articles of Incorporation, our bylaws, and our affirmation of the Baptist Faith and Message 2000. There's also a promotional flyer attached that we use in our initial distribution. Who we are. First, we are a group of believers representing several different churches in the area. We believe that the greatest commandment that God has given us is to love the Lord our God with all our heart, soul, and mind, and likewise to love our neighbor as ourselves. And we also believe in the Great Commission, that it's every church's part that we should be going and making disciples of all nations. And we do this by trying to set the example by following 1 Corinthians chapter 13, which is the love chapter, and most of you know. But let me just read you real quick what kind of motivated us to do this. If you look at 1 Corinthians 13, it starts out, if I speak with human eloquence and angelic ecstasy, but don't love, I'm nothing but the creaking of a rusty gate. If I speak God's word with power, revealing all his mysteries, making everything plain as day, and if I have faith that says to a mountain, jump, and it jumps, but I don't love, I am nothing. If I give everything I own to the poor, and even go to the stake to be burned as a martyr, but I don't love, I've gotten nowhere. So no matter what I say, what I believe, or what I do, I'm bankrupt without love. And that's kind of why our whole church strategy is sharing love with our community and our neighbors. Who we are, continued, it's 10 core members. We started out with 10 core members representing the churches you see listed here. We came together from a small group doing a book study, Crazy Love by Francis Chan. And that kind of sparked on the idea that we needed to be trying to reach a certain population in our community that nobody was ministering to. We are a diverse group of people. We have various backgrounds. And then we have about 15 support personnel. These are people who come alongside of us from area churches that we begin to work that help us get our buildings situated, to help with our finances to a smaller extent. But they did donate wood and stuff like that for the building. And so we consider them part of our partnership in this plant as well. Our core group, looking from experience-wise, we've had deacons and yoke fellows. We have some people who've been brotherhood directors, a Baptist men director, youth directors. We've had various Sunday school teachers in our core group. We've had people who have been in charge of mission directors at large churches, a couple of music leaders, people who have been involved in creative arts ministry, WMU leaders, and also praise band and singers in our group. So we do have a well-diverse group that we tried to be able to have in our core team, people who had a little bit of experience in each discipline, so we could pull from each other's experience. Now we're going to talk about our target demographics. We did a scan U.S. report on a 3-mile radius and a 5-mile radius of our community, because we live in an area in Johnston County where there's about 3 churches within a mile radius of where we are. But the one thing that we've all noticed as we came from these different churches when we came together is that we're doing a poor job of reaching the lower income population. We have a lot of mobile home parks in our area, a lot of transient people. When I say transient, I mean people who come in and maybe rent their homes. They don't own their homes. They rent for a while, then they move on. So we did use the Scan US to do a demographics, and here what it told us our target demographics are, or what we decided would be our target demographics. We have a middle-aged, when I say middle-aged, I mean probably 30 to 50. Low or no income was a high population. The vast majority are undereducated, and when I'll go into that in a little bit more detail. and there are racial and ethnical diverse families in our community. So, ministry population profile of a 5-mile radius, looking at this population. From where we are in rural Johnston County, there is approximately 11,275 people. That's a 35% increase in since 2000. The Anglo population is about 60%, but the African American population is 20%. That's up about 12%. But the biggest jump came from our Latino population, which consists of about 19%, but it's up almost 40%. The average age of our target demographics was 36. The largest age group was the age group 31 to 51, and it had about 30%. And then you see the rest of the age breakdown. So if you look at the 30 to 60 year olds in that bottom bullet there, you see that our target demographics is about 41% of the people within a 5-mile radius. Next, we looked at income. The average household income in this 5-mile radius was $47,000 a year. The average per capita income was $16,957, which is about $8,000 less than the federal poverty line. Households that had less than $15,000 income total was almost 25%. That was the statistics that most of our core group was unaware of, even though we've lived in this community our whole lives. And then our households with less than $50,000 income was almost 2/3 of the population. So for us, in our little brick churches and nice big steeples and nice paved parking lots and everybody driving nice cars, we were kind of oblivious to the poverty that surrounded us. Again, Francis Chan, I can't say enough about the book Crazy Love. If you have not read that, I would encourage you to read it, especially chapter 4. That's kind of our launching point for our ministry. Next, we looked at education. Within a 5-mile radius, only 10% had college degrees. 75% did have a high school diploma. But again, probably the biggest thing for us that was new to us was like almost 25% of the population had less than an 11th grade education. Primary concerns of this people were health insurance, of course, which is a major concern for all of us. They struggled with the day-to-day financing. That was a big portion of what they were concerned about. They experienced alcohol and drug abuse problems, teen and child problems, abusive relationships, finding a good church. Moving on down to the last one, the last two bullets here. 25% people were, by the response, are concerned about finding a good church, and then another 20% are finding good spiritual teaching. So the results of the demographic scan tells us that they believe, have a religious belief, but not necessarily engaged in their current church. So our philosophy of the church, we first decided that we should try to build and form relationships, try to provide some type of service or support networks, and these are low income and poverty level population that we're trying to reach. And then we're going to try to introduce the gospel through Bible study and do simple services, nothing real major. In fact, our worship center, our church building, if you want to call it that, is nothing but 2 mobile classrooms that we purchased and set up on a land that was donated. We're going to try to start out with the simple biblical truth of what's going on with our relationship with Christ and why we do what we do and why we should be doing what God tells us to do. And then we're going to do life application, try to get them involved as they mature. How we're going to reach them? The simple service. I can't say enough about the simple service. It's real basic. We come in real casual, no dress, the shorts, shirts, work clothes. I mean, it's real laid back, very casual atmosphere. Biblical truths. We feel it's important to start out with a major plant like we're doing here to try to start out on the right foot by not watering down the gospel. And then making sure that whatever we do, we apply it to their lives so they can see how this relationship with Christ is going to change their lives. Here you see a little bit of a graph of what we think, and we're actually, I'm confused here. This is a graph of what we're actually applying, and we're doing now. We're doing some evangelism, we're doing outreach service, we're doing some discipleship training, by example, by getting down and saturating in their lives is how we're doing our discipleship training. We're actually getting to know these, holding house parties, block parties, getting the people, inviting them into our homes, and trying to just share life with them. Here you see is our plan, as they start, I guess you could call this a multiplication plan. We started a food pantry, food distribution, in 2012. We do that every Monday night from 5 to 6:30. We're up to averaging about 110 to 112 families come through our food ministry every week, and we started that in October of 2012. We do service projects based off referrals or needs that we come across from the people who are visiting, the patrons at the food pantry. We've done ramps, we've done bathroom repairs, mobile home repairs, landscaping, basic just cutting grass, for people who either physically can't do it or don't have lawnmowers. I mean, this is as simple as not having lawnmowers. We found a lot of people are living day to day. A lot of people, we had a lot of homeless people we didn't even know about in rural Johnston County. You see in a city, you can see the homeless, but in rural America, the homeless are harder to see, but they're there. We found 11 families out of our patrons that come in our first year were homeless. So that is a big thing, a need that we need to address in rural Johnston County. We do a simple worship service. We talked about that. We have small group studies. We do that on Monday night after the food pantry. We have a men's Bible study. We do that the third Saturday of the month. And we have various women's ministry and children's programs. So our plan is to get them into the door, introduce them to Jesus, let them live a long life beside them, sharing their struggles, sharing their successes, and discipleship through relations, personal relationships. And we might not be able to get a broad network done, but we want to invest in those 10 core group members trying to take on 4 or 5 people, and invest in their lives and disciple them, and then let them do the same and make it repeating. So our multiplication would be that that as we bring someone in and disciple them and build them up and get invested in their lives, that they would do the same. We'll be able to send them out. Our goal, we do a handoff, because a lot of times once someone starts to come to Building 323 and they join our church, join them with us, we just don't have the resources to meet all the needs. Our weakest link, if you want to call it that right now, is our children's program. So a lot of the children come, the families come after we disciple them for a year. We hand them off to another church that has more structure and more opportunities for the children. Some of the milestones that you see here we got coming up. We began our food pantry in October 2012. That number there, you see 600 plus patrons. We're now over 1,100 different families who have visited at least once to the food pantry. We do a Bible study. We began that in January of 2014. We have started our tutoring that we do. We offer computers access. So a lot of the people who are in low poverty don't have internet access at home. So we offer internet access at the church building. They can come out, and then we also have volunteers from the local school that volunteers and does tutoring. We have some items you see here that we still have doing self-help classes, English as a second language, managing our finances, resume writing, and interview skills. So that ends my briefing. And if you have any questions, I look forward to seeing others and getting back with you. Y'all be blessed.